Welcome, Jackal Den. Welcome, fans. Myself, James Yaprez, is here with Rick Collins, our Jackal King, our local rugby guru here. We're going to be joined by hopefully Kabui Butt, our I love that's his last name, our rugby guru, our international rugby star, and then a special guest, hopefully in a few minutes, is going to come on and talk a little bit about the team and how they're doing.
The true insider.
Exactly. Before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about our admin stuff, like I always do, give you a rundown. Coming up this week on Friday, we have our game against LA at Choctaw Stadium here in Arlington. Kickoff is at 7:30. That means we'll be having our tailgate at 5:30 p.m. That'll be in Lot E, the southwest corner, kitty corner from the entrance to the stadium. We'll have our grill going. We'll have burgers and brats and coolers. Come check it out. Come have a good time. We'll be right on that corner. Everybody that's coming to that game, please stop by and say hi. We want to fill every square inch of that grass with people, so that admin looks across the street and sees how many fans they have, and it really gets the team pumped to see us all over there cheering for them before the game starts. So we have 2 home games in a row, so 2 tailgates in a row. So like I said, this Friday the 10th, and then also the next one is Sunday the 19th. That is a Sunday game at 6 p.m. That's going to be against Seattle Seawolves. And then the special game night. So this Friday is Mexican Heritage Night, and then the 19th is going to be our Veteran Appreciation Night. Following that, we have our watch parties. The next out-of-town game is going to be June 2nd. That'll be a Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time. That'll be playing against. I just had it and then I lost it. I'll find it in just a second. There's going to be 2 watch parties going on. We have the Jackal Den watch party and we have the Jackals watch party. And we're working with them on this, and we're setting it up at 2 separate locations. So if you're too far from one, come to the other, and vice versa. The Jackals official location is going to be the same as last time at Dr. Jekyll's Beer Lab in, what is that town name? Pantego? It is like southwest Arlington.
Yep.
It's something like that. Not too far at all from the stadium. There we go. And then ours is going to be at Northside. That was the watch party location we had 2 weeks ago. It's going to be in Richardson. We've got a great location there, a lot of TVs. They have some great food. So again, if you're in the Jackal Den and you're closer to Arlington, go check out the official watch party. If you're not in the Jackal Den and you're closer to Richardson, come check us out. It'll be a lot of fun. The last one, we also have our scarves are still for sale. Rick has a bunch. I have a bunch. Everybody with the
you can see one over my shoulder here.
Exactly, $15. If you need to ship them, talk to myself or Rick. To be $15 plus shipping. But if you're able to grab them there from us on site, we take Venmo, PayPal, cash, whatever. Willing to get those out. The other one is we want to get your ideas. I want to start putting together some kind of raffle things at these events that we have at the tailgatings, at the watch parties. Whether it's something simple like a 50-50, or if we can talk to the team and get some signed merch or something like that we can raffle off to you guys, that would be fantastic. They want to work with us on this too, but as far as within the Jackal Den, those sort of things and the donations help us out, not just in supporting the team, but they help us out in things that we want to get to help increase these events, like the tailgating. We've all seen that custom pop-up that Houston Sabre Bros have. It, man, we want one of those, especially going into the summer months. We want something to give us some good shade in that area.
A little bit of shade in that parking lot.
Yeah, man, it'd be really cool if we can get something like that put right on the corner, a good 10 by 10 with the Jackal Den logo on it and our flags flying. And we'd love to get something like that. So we're trying to think of some of these fun ideas that we can get to increase some funds for us, but also get some merch and get some experiences out for you guys. So let us know what you've got there. So, with that, we've got a couple of minutes before our special guest jumps on, but since it's the 2 of us, let's talk for a second about what happened in San Diego on Sunday. That hurt.
Yeah,
so much.
Now that's 2 matches where we've lost to San Diego by a try or less, and I really think we're kind of on par with them right now, which I would never have guessed at the beginning of the season. I really thought we'd split with them. Had opportunities, didn't take advantage. There may be calls that didn't quite go our way. Just all around disappointing. It was frustrating to watch, especially from afar. Weather looked nice at least. But San Diego has a lot of wily veterans, and I think they took advantage of that to the nth degree. There were just chances where our discipline wasn't quite good enough and we weren't sneaky enough. And we just came out short, and it's disappointing, but I think we can also still take something from it. And I think the main pieces that we're here, we're competitive. We're not the team we were last year or even the year before, for that matter. And we're gonna win some more matches this season. This isn't a 4-win team that we're looking at right
No.
now. And this upcoming weekend certainly a time to take one. I think the biggest challenge we have right now is we're dealing with some injuries. I know we've missed Gola for several weeks. We understand that he's going to be out for probably a month at least more. I wouldn't be surprised if he's out for most of the rest of the season, just because, the big goal for him is going to be getting into the summer and fall internationals healthy.
That's right. So, he was one of the selected, I think, for international team.
That's right. So, and he'll probably be a starter for the USA team playing this summer and into the fall. So I wouldn't be surprised we're not going to see a lot of them for the rest of the season. That was a position that we went into the season light. My understanding is that the backup lock that we had in place is no longer even with the club. So we're even lighter at that position now. So, challenges, our guest, if I can give a hint, has stepped up and played some in Gola's absence, which has been phenomenal. But
Liam, that you talked to last week, is also out for a little bit.
Yeah, he's back at training, but I don't think he can play for another week or so.
Yeah.
But we expect him to be back pretty soon, which would be good. Front row has had some injuries that they've been dealing with too. So it's been a challenge, but every team is dealing with that. So it's not an excuse, right? I think part of it to me is just the way the team was constructed. And that's just my preference. Is I would have probably brought in a few more domestics, especially at some of those important positions where you really need to have domestics starting, good domestic players starting, so that you can fill some of the other holes with international slots. And right now we're just very, very light on domestics, especially with the injuries that we have had. So it is what it is at this point. Every team's dealing with it. I think San Diego was a tough team to deal with. They've got a lot of domestic national team players, Braki, Greg Peterson, Brian James, a lot of guys, Mikey Teo, who all played, guys that have serious national team experience, or at least pool experience. And we don't have that on the squad right now. So that's an area where we're challenged. And I thought we played well enough to win, and it's disappointing that we didn't get the win.
I agree. And I think we're going to come back to that a lot. We have a special guest who has just joined us. We're going to bring up here. This man is a superstar as far as the Jackals in the last few years. He is our team captain. We welcome to the podcast, Mr. Geronimo Vara.
Yeah, man. And I believe, Jero, you were named as the fantasy player of the week this last week. So congratulations. I'm playing in MLR fantasy rugby leagues. And everybody was very happy with your performance this week. It helped some guys win. So that's even going on in the background. This league is getting so big.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the invitation.
You've been playing a little bit out of position the last few weeks. How is that going?
Yeah, I mean, the team is needing some positions lately. Like, we've been changing a lot with international spots and some injuries that we had in the team. So just kind of adapting and being where the team needs. It's just that.
That's the job of a captain, though, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure it is. Between other stuff, yeah.
So, yeah, and I had heard through the rumor mill that Sam is going to be out a little bit longer than I think most of us would have hoped. And we know that we've got, summer and fall internationals coming where he's going to be playing with the USA team. So we know that that's kind of, key import for him and for USA national team. So, they're not going to push his return, I would guess, is y'all are not going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the first of all, it's important the health of the bodies of the players, and then playing rugby. You know what I mean? I think he will be able to play a couple of games, not as much as we would like.
Yeah.
It, but yeah, I mean, first of all, is the health of the bodies, and then if they are able, if he is able, he will play. I know his mentality, and of course, he have huge challenges.
Oh, they're going to have to hold him off the field. They're going to have to keep his jersey away from him, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No,
so, this is a bit of a struggle week for you guys, I know, being out of town on Sunday and then coming back for a game on Friday. This is really a short week. And I spoke to Bill earlier today, and it's excellent that the administration is kind of going a little bit above and beyond to get you guys, get you ready. I heard that the cryo thing they brought down for you guys and some of the prep work, and heard you in the background on the call all sweating to some yoga today. That was fantastic. So kind of when you have these short weeks in between games with travels, how does that impact your preparation?
Yeah, I think, as you said, the importance of the recovery of what you eat, how much time do you sleep, what do you do when you're awake, and in those little moments that no one's watching, if that makes sense, takes a lot of importance in this type of week in terms of recovery and stuff. And talking about the preparation is pretty much the same. We don't change much.
You just don't get as many reps, is my guess.
Yeah, I mean, probably the intensity is not the same physically, but mentally it's probably more, especially mentally, more intense than usual. A lot of meetings, reviews, previews, but nothing really crazy. I mean, we are prepared physically for that, and they are taking care of us with the eye cryo, all those treatments that you said before. So
fantastic.
I think we're doing good, I think, this week.
Jero, so you've been with the club now for basically 2 seasons. What are the differences you've noticed between last year and this year, and what has taken this team to the next level? I think all the fans and even other fans around the league and fans across the world, last year was obviously a mess, not as big of a mess as season 1, but not as good as I think would have hoped for. And this season, it seems like it's been a big turnaround. What have been the keys to that?
First of all, I think that we still got some visa problems with some players, but most of us, we were here since day one of preseason. That last year didn't happen. Like, I think we were like half of the roster from day one, and we've been coming over probably the same week that the season started or the previous week. I think that's a huge difference. I mean, you got to build a culture, team bondings with players. We didn't know each other, and then you want to build a team. It's not gonna happen a day to another. You got to build that, and I think this preseason we worked really well. That we may not have the biggest names, but I think as a union and as a team, we are we're really bonded, and there is very talented players in the roster. Not only the ones that you see every weekend playing, the ones that are training hard and pushing the, let's say, the starters, or the ones that are playing in the weekend, pushing them to become better every week and try to compete. I think those
So,
2 points preseason
I've been
from
working
day
on
one.
my Spanish on Duolingo, and I don't know if y'all have time to work on your second languages, but I know last year that was somewhat of a challenge. What's changed between last year and this year? I know I've spoken to Liam. He said some of the guys who don't speak Spanish as a first language are learning some Spanish, and so is it just a lot of Spanglish going on out there? What kind of give us an idea of how that's transpired this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the language barrier is always there, even if a couple of the boys have very good English, or some of the boys understand Spanish, it'll always lose some information
Yeah,
in those barriers. And also that changed from last year. We have Nate as a coach,
Yeah.
assistant coach, which is an English speaker. And I think that combo between Kuka and Nate with the languages kind of uh, get through all the roster and all the boys.
it's getting the
And
message across quicker.
yeah. It doesn't lose too much information, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about what's happened in the past. We've talked about kind of the beginning of the season a little bit. What are the expectations that y'all have, especially as a captain, for this team going forward to finish the season and then, into the future? Do we have guys that are, hey, I'm committed to be here for a few years, or, it was sad to see. I'm wearing my Rura signed jersey tonight in honor. But it was sad to see him, go to Italy. But hey, I mean, those opportunities are out there. So that's going to be a challenge for some of the boys to say, oh, I'm going to pass on, a couple $100,000 in Europe versus, staying in Dallas and playing another season.
Yeah, in terms of that, I mean, obviously there are a lot of opportunities, as you said, but also I think most of the boys, I think they're happy. I don't know, especially their contracts, but uh, I think this tournament, this league, it has pros and like advantages and disadvantages. It depends how do you see it. Talking about the length of the season,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the boys would prefer to just stay the whole year. Some of the boys love that it's just half of a year, and then half of the other half of a year is coming back to. So it kind of depends. I have not an answer for that, but I do know that we love being representing the Dallas Jackals. I think every single player loves representing their community, the fans, and
That's
all the
awesome.
values that we have as a team. So,
Well, what's the playoff expectation here? I mean, we're sitting in fourth. That's a playoff position right now, but schedule's not going to get too much easier down the stretch. We definitely got to win some tough in-conference matches. How are we feeling about finishing the season off?
I mean, we know that we have the potential to be contenders. We want it, but we're also looking ourselves just step by step, match to matches. I mean, of course, we have a dream to accomplish that first goal, which is making the playoffs, but also being focused on every weekend to do our job, to do our best every weekend to get those results, because sometimes it's not always uh, completely just doing a good game or doing nice stuff. It's about getting the results. You know what I mean? So yeah, we were just focused on every game. Now it's LA. We know that it's a very important game, that we have a chance to get those points to keep ourselves in the playoff zones. But yeah, we have very present that we have that goal, and also as you may see against Seattle or Houston, even San Diego, we are not anymore the Dallas Jackals that you just want to go get some defensive points, like losing by less than 7 or whatever. We want those 5 points in every single match.
Yeah.
They gotta respect us as well. So yeah, we're with that mentality.
I think they absolutely do. Now I'm gonna kind of cut this off. I know that Harold, you've got to go. I super appreciate you jumping in. I want to give you one last chance. Is there anything that you want to put out there for the fans or anybody watching?
Yeah, just thank you all for being that supportive. We really appreciate that, and we're very thankful. Every single game that we play at home, we felt at home itself. It really helps us for real. Hearing you cheering us up, it's super important for us. It's massive, and that energy really hypes us up. So I think just words of thanks.
We got to bring it just like y'all bring it.
We definitely will, and we'll be out there this Friday shouting and cheering along, as well as the next games, the rest of the home games, and whatever away games that we can get to. Thank you so much for jumping in and talking with us. Give our best to everybody else you're out there with. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your relaxing time, and we will see you on Friday. Rick, stick around. You and I are going to talk a little more.
Okay.
Thank you, Jero.
Thank you for the invitation. Have a good one.
You too.
So, one of the keys for this team to finish the season strong is going to be taking this week by week. You got to get a win this weekend against LA. Like that's just a must have, right? It doesn't really matter how many points we score or how many we win by. We're so far up on them. You got to get the win. So you need those points. We've got to stay ahead of Utah. We're going to have a tough match at Utah. So it's going to be super important that we get points against New England, for example, on the road. It's going to be tough. And this league is getting tougher every year, even with, Anthem in it right now. If you look at the West outside of LA, it's a minefield.
Western Conference right now is insane. I mean, we have the Seawolves we knew were going to be tough. Houston we knew was going to be tough. Seattle we knew was going to be tough. Utah, who I expected to be big, is kind of coming off of a weak leg now, which I didn't expect. But and then
but they're dangerous any week. I mean, we've seen they're putting up fights against. They almost beat Houston. So I mean, they're a team that's dangerous every week. I think that's the biggest issue is there's not like one team just dominating the West. All the teams are good and dangerous every week.
It's funny looking at the standings and looking at the list that combines the Eastern and Western Conference, and just looking at the teams. And from the first spot down, I mean, it's Western, 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 Eastern, Western, Western. I mean, like the top 8 of 12 spots is all Western. So it's really impressive. And I mean, Eastern has some new ones. They've got Miami. They have Anthem. I don't know, but I mean, it feels like NOLA is still strong. Looking at the Eastern, New England still up there at 30.
The bottom half of the Eastern Conference has not been good. Old Glory's not been good, and I expected them to be much better. Miami, for a lot of reasons, isn't particularly good. And obviously Anthem. I mean, we just kind of everybody knew Anthem was going to be a bit of a walkover at least this season.
We passed
into the
our
future,
flag,
but that isn't the point of that team. So that's kind of a challenge. Is like that team is constructed for other reasons, not winning MLR games.
Now, I want to ask you a question from the game on Sunday. With your experience of playing, of reffing, of coaching, of seeing the game from every possible sideline, one of the big questions that I'm trying to figure out is it's horrible that we took the loss. And I don't want to say San Diego beat us because I don't think that's accurate. We led the game in territory and in possession,
Yep.
and we're up by at least a point the entirety of the game. So the big question, the way that I'm trying to think about it is, did we not go home with the win because we lost to ourselves, or was it
That
was it
31st
the
man on the pitch.
stir exactly that we all keep yelling at from the sideline? I
Yeah,
mean, what's
so
your take on it?
I didn't think that the refereeing team as a whole did us any favors.
Right.
Now, were they bad on the night? I would say they were workable, but I didn't think they were particularly great. I definitely had problems with some of the play. Like there was an obvious yellow card that they didn't even call. They called it a knock on us. So there's a few things like that where I'm like, look, if you're going to go back on one play and go back, 4 or 5 phases and say
Yeah.
this happened and therefore we need to go back, like that's got to be looked at as well. So I just thought it very inconsistent. The referee, he's been around Texas rugby for a while. Personally, he's just not my favorite. It's fine. Like I didn't think he had a terrible match, but there were just a few calls that really hurt us, that either weren't called or were called. But I didn't think it was that much different than most of the other matches. I think we're still in that position where we're just not very respected as a team. And that's just, it's one of those subconscious things when you're looking at, how bad we were season 1 and season 2, that we're just not going to get those calls until we start winning regularly. I think this season probably changes that maybe for the future. But I think this year we're still going to have to put up with, we're just not going to get those calls. And this is not like a rugby specific or even an MLR specific thing. This is a sports specific thing. You see how LeBron gets calls, right, in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's the same idea. He's a respected player. He's one of the best players to ever play. He's going to get calls that other players aren't going to get. That's just like how it works. There's just a subconscious bias to players that have more experience and are better. Right. So it is what it is from a refereeing standpoint. We beat ourselves, though. We shouldn't have been in that position where a call from either TMO or the SIR or an AR could cost us a game or an opportunity to win. So, there's multiple times in that first half where we have the ball inside their 5 or inside, the 10. They're, 10 meters from their try line that, we should have put away and didn't put away. And, we've got to be more thorough and execute in those areas. When we were playing Houston and Seattle up until those last 2 lineouts, we were just serial killers inside the 22. We were taking advantage of every opportunity to score. And you talked about possession, and I didn't even look at the stats, but at about the 60th, 70th minute mark, I thought, and we've had the ball for at least 40 minutes, 45 minutes of this match. There's no way we haven't. We just couldn't put them away when we had the opportunities. And you've got to do that at this level. There's teams like Anthem and maybe Miami and maybe even LA for that matter, that if you don't put away a couple opportunities, it probably doesn't come back to haunt you.
Mm-hmm.
But against a team like San Diego, who you saw what they did on the last play to score,
Man.
If you don't put them away, they're going to take their opportunities.
You almost think in hindsight, and of course hindsight, but you almost wonder if at a couple of those penalties would it have made more sense to go for a kick as opposed to a scrum.
Yeah, so that's a mentality thing with teams, and this team hasn't really had that mentality this season, and I think we've definitely taken opportunities against specific teams to do that. But the way our defense gives up points, we just can't. I think if our defense was stouter, we'd take those opportunities for points more often. But also there's just that mentality of like, we're going to go take the game. We're always going to go take the game. If anybody watches London Harlequins, like that's their mentality. It's not Exeter and Bath where you're going to kick for points every time there's a penalty, even if it's like at your own 10-meter, right? It's a 60-meter kick. Still take the kick. Like, but
the wind's in your favor, it can still do it.
Or for the Quins or the Jackals, like go to the corner. Go to the corner. We will take our chances at the line out every single time. We want those tries. We're going to put up bonus points every single time. Whether we win or lose, we're putting up bonus points. That's just a mentality thing with this team, and for better or for worse, I think it makes for exciting rugby. So
definitely does. And I mean, considering where our maul is at this year, considering the last few years, I mean, if we can get a good corner line out, it's our maul has been.
I'll take it anytime, and it hasn't looked great the last few weeks, and I'll still take it. I just think our execution there has been 10 times better than the last 2 years, and I think it's probably at least in the upper third of the league this season, in terms of executing at the maul. So I will take those opportunities whenever we can get them. I don't mind them going to the corner at all. There's obvious times when you don't, but I'm okay with them attacking and trying to get those tries.
Yeah. Now let's see. I want to talk a little bit about LA coming out here. So we played them the very beginning of this season.
We got
our second
perfect timing to get them for sure, and we took advantage. We put a pounding on them.
Yes, that was good. And that was even at their home pitch kicking off the season. So that was fantastic. And now we get to see how they do out
29 on us. I mean, we only beat them by 3, but just scoring that much at the beginning of the season and getting a win on the road was really good.
Absolutely. So let's see here. So there it is. So when we look at how they've done over the last 9 weeks after we played them last, they're not coming out with super big numbers. They have some good names on the field. They have some good cohesion. I think they're just brand new, almost in the same mentality of where Miami and where Anthem is. No offense to either one of those teams, just new, going up against a team that, like the Jackals, have finally found our cohesion.
Like Jero talked about, the cohesion, the being together from day one, how important that's been for them.
Absolutely. So what do we think there's anything that we have to be worried about?
Yeah, their back five, the 2 centers and the back 3, so the 2 wings, fullback and centers are, I mean, on paper they're very dangerous. And Jason Emery is a second fly half on the field. He's going to cross kick. He's going to, make a lot of plays happen. You've got to get up in his face. He's been dealing with injuries. So, just hitting him, like get to him early, hit him early. I think that's going to be a key, but we can't let them have space between him and Stokes and Co. And then you add in, Sean White out there. They're dangerous. And you could say that about almost any team in the league, but that's a really good back 5. Hollingshead is a killer from boot, so we just can't afford to have lack of discipline. He'll put points on the board real quick. Saunders is really good around the rucks. You've got to be at those post positions every single time because he will take off. And the one thing that we struggle with is line breaks. We're maybe the worst team in the league defensively outside of the Anthem. I just gonna exclude them for the time being because they're kind of at the bottom of the rankings and everything. But in terms of defense in the loose after a line break, I just don't think we're particularly good in that area. Yeah. We've got to maintain our line speed. We've got to get on to their backs quickly, put pressure, force them into mistakes, get them into rucks quickly, like pulling them down quickly, getting over the ball. Otherwise, they can make it a long day. And they've made a long day against several teams. San Diego, they only lost by 1. They beat Utah for their only win, but I mean that's still 36 points against Utah's defense is no joke. They lost badly to Seattle, but everybody's losing to Seattle this year.
Well,
Chicago.
but that's one we lost by 2-3 points.
Yeah, and I think we
held
caught
our own
Seattle
there.
early when they weren't quite like up to speed, and now they are gaining some serious steam. And even their game where they put out basically their B+ side against Anthem, and they still spanked them.
Yeah.
Chicago put a beating on them, but they still scored 31. They're going to score points. I mean, it's just a matter of we've got to be defensively strong and disciplined. I mean, I think one area that we've struggled the last few weeks is in discipline. And if we can be disciplined, this shouldn't be a problem. I think our pack can dominate this pack. There's nobody in this pack that I'm super afraid of. I think they've got a strong bench. So Robolo is going to be coming off the bench for his first action in MLR this season. They've got 2 experienced props on the bench. Tasman Smith at backup scrum halves, nothing to shake head at. Jordan Chait and Seth Purdy not being that great, but Chait's a phenomenal fly half fullback player. Having that, off the bench is good for them. So we just got to get up early and then not worry about things. Just play strong, solid defense. But we need to get up early. We need to kick to the corners. We need to go to the mall. I think our pack should win this game for us.
I agree. Looking at some of these numbers and seeing some of the highlight reels over the last few weeks, they're definitely finding more of their strong spots. And I think you're right when you talk about taking it to them fast and staying close. Don't give them a lot of room to get their speed up and get the ball moving. I think as long as we work on a big one, giving chase support and giving chase, I think we'll be pretty solid.
They're not particularly good. They're not particularly good defensively against fly half and back 3. I wonder if we're going to see Winchester and Vogan again, and not Elias. I wonder if we see Wandy Oliver, Vogan, and then Winchester out there, because I think it's a little bit more dynamic. I think just opportunities to attack in those A-B holes are going to be big. And I think we take it to them early in that area of the field, and gives us a good chance of winning this.
I pummel them and get some points on the board early as fast as we can. So when it comes down to the last 10 minutes, we have a clear gap and don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we're up by 20 with 5 minutes left, and we can kind of put it on a little bit of cruise control. That would be nice.
Man, let's relive the Anthem game and do it with LA.
Yeah. Yes, get an Anthem game at home.
Another 40-point spread. The phenomenal one I will still say, and I want to mention this at the end of every single podcast, is when I look at the standings and I look at the numbers on here, we still are in the entire league. We are the point runner of the entire league still. 288 points. Houston's coming up close with 286. Seawolves right behind them with 279. Free Jacks at 276. But we are the front runners with that. So it's just phenomenal. And a portion of that came from that Anthem game, but we are still leading the pack on it.
We're scoring tries. We're getting bonus point losses even when we lose. I mean, those points are important. So this isn't, the NBA or NFL or something like that. You got to think more like MLS soccer or something. Even in those losses or NHL where you get a tie and you get points. I mean, you just got to stack up points at the end of the season. Those points are going to be big, whether you won or lost. Obviously, you want the wins, but if you got to lose, make sure you get those bonus points.
Get those points. Yeah. Well, it's just phenomenal. We got to give our predictions.
Yep. I'm going to go 42-27. I really think we're going to put up points. I think LA's down a few guys, especially in the pack. I think we can dominate there, get penalties, go to the corners, get some maul tries. I think Colts going to have a big game. And I think if Vogan's playing, I think Vogan has a big game. Those are my 2 players to look for in this match. And I think we win big. I think we get a 15-point win, 42-27. I think LA scores a couple of tries, at the end. I think we go up big at halftime. I think we're up, 24-5, 24-7 at half.
Oh, fantastic. I agree with you taking the win. I would love to see high 30s come out us, and I'd love to see Anthem stay
You mean
around
LA?
20.
LA.
I am saying Anthem. Yeah, that's who I keep thinking of right now. So LA, yeah. I want to see us. I'm gonna say 37 Jackals. I'm gonna say boy, my brain wants to say 17 LA, but I
Woo!
think I'm gonna say
If we
20.
hold them to 17, that'll be hell of a game.
I'm gonna give them 20. I'm still saying that we come out with almost a 20-point lead. But I agree with you. I think we're gonna come out of the gate strong. We're gonna hit them hard. We're gonna have a good spread at halftime,
especially
and
after
we're gonna
that
keep
tough
them
loss
down.
this last week. Yeah,
I think the boys are angry and they're hungry.
Yeah, I hope that the having a 2-day less week doesn't hurt us. I think our rotation so far this season has helped a lot. I think that's going to help again this weekend.
Yeah. And then after this, so we've got like short week this week of Friday, and then a long one. We have, I think it comes out to like 9 days.
Yeah, 9 days. So it's a Sunday at home versus Seattle. So we'll see everybody again against Seattle on the 19th, and then we will have a break, and then we
get a bye week. That's right.
Yeah, bye week, and then we go up to New England. So I think that's perfect. We get a bye week before travel, so they can travel up early and get used to the June weather in New England. It's probably really nice up there in June. So hopefully that's a good a win against a beat up New England team. Let's cross our fingers they're still beat up by that point. And then we come back home after that. So it's a nice 3 out of 4 at home. We've got to take advantage. We got to win at home.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to say thank you very much, Mr. Jakl King, Rick, for coming on and talking with us. And we're going to thank again Jero, our captain. Eventually, I'll get the name right. I know my pronunciation is terrible, but Vara is amazing. Thank you all for watching. Again, home games, tailgate this Friday. Kickoff is 7:30. Tailgates at 5:30. Southwest corner of Lot E. Come hang out with us. Have a hot dog. Have a burger. Have a beer. Come talk to us about Jackals and rugby, and even
life
for a different team.
We'll talk to you about whatever.
Yeah, and what's great, we have Houston guys show up. We had New England guys show up when the old schedule. We had some
New Orleans guys showed up.
Yeah, I mean, whatever team you're rooting for, come hang out with us at the tailgate. We're all friends when we walk into the stadium. We're friends when we walk out of the stadium. We just don't count those 2 hours in the middle when we're going to. Other than that, thank you all very much. Have a fantastic night. We will talk to you next week.